when you're writing a book, do you already have the end plan, or do you just see where the story takes you?
Whenever my first book died, it took me probably 5 or 6 years to write it because I didn't know how it was supposed to end. I was just sort of writing forward and hoping it would work itself out, and I promised myself after I finally finished it that I would never do that again. And so ever after, I have had some idea of where it was going to end. Not always the actual place it ended, but at least I know I have something. So worst case scenario, that's how it ends.
I love the ends of books. I love writing the last few pages, and so I always have a pretty clear idea of how the book is going to end. Once I had the general plot, so the followers knew exactly how it was going to end, and it was going to end on this, looked like massive fan
the Jesus out of your
splitting, cliffhanger, and I knew that Power Angel was going to end into Magnus. So I always do know how it's going to end. I think I always know where I'm going to start and where I'm going to end, but I don't know exactly the route I'm going to take to get there.
And then for Cassie, Corrine asked, it always amazes me how many legends and historical references you use. How much research do you complete for each book, and how much is taken from prior knowledge?
Well, that's a very interesting question. I think that it's sort of a 50-50 because you don't know what you're going to need until you need it. But I've always been fascinated by legends and myths, and specifically myths of, hopefully not to offend anybody, the myth of the war in heaven and the fall of man, original sin, the Satan from Paradise Lost, and I took a course just on Paradise Lost in college, and I took a course on the Bible as literature, and I found it totally fascinating, and so I draw on that stuff a lot when I'm working, and then of course there are always legends that I don't necessarily know about, like in the case of City Fallen Angels. I knew the legend of Lilith before, but I had to really dig into it and find out more about it and find out the different versions and stuff, and there's all these like really cool little details that are sort of interesting and fun to kind of see them. Because if you know them, then great, it's fun to see them, and if you don't know them, then I think it just kind of, washes by you. It's very distracting.
Off topic really quick, you mentioned like Paradise Lost and all that. Did you ever read Philip Pullman's His Dark Materials?
Yep.
Like my favorite books of all time. Those are what really got me.
I fangirled Philip Pullman, but I don't think I've ever
reading big time. I've met him once. I fangirled for him. I was like 12, and he gave me writing advice. He signed my book. He was so nice. I mean, I still remember it to this day. Obviously, it kind of changed my life, I think. So it really, I was always a reader, but that's really what kind of made me become passionate about books and reading and writing on my own and stuff. Yeah, that's the one I always point to. I've reread it like 10 times at least.
That was a great one.
All right, back on track. And then question for you from Green. The white cat in the first book of Curse Workers seemed to draw some parallels to the white rabbit in Alice in Wonderland, pulling us into a new world, starting the journey. Was that intentional or merely coincidence?
Actually, the white cat in white cat is from the French fairy tale. And if you look through the French fairy tale, it's just actually a totally crazy fairy tale.
Remember your blog post about
hit all the authors of the book. They're very, one of my favorite ways to talk